What's up, all you Regs and all you Shinies? Welcome back to the 1313 podcast, the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe. I'm Jackson.
I'm Tommy.
And we are missing Jacob today, unfortunately, because he is sick. So please send Jacob get well soon in the comments. We would love to see that. Hopefully he'll be back next week to help shoot the show. For those of you who are new to watching our show, welcome. Make sure to follow us here on YouTube. We also have an Instagram and an X account. We have Twitch as well. And if you want to be a part of a very amazing community that loves to talk about Star Wars, join our Discord.
Yeah, everybody, everyone keep Jacob in your thoughts and prayers for the coming weeks as he recovers. But yeah, so everybody, this is the 1313 podcast, and we're here to talk about 2023 in review. What does what does Tommy and Jackson think about everything that came out this year? But before that, this past week was Christmas. If you don't notice, I do still have my holiday figures spruced around the background. We are also recording at my place today because we didn't want to go catch the plague. So we decided to quarantine ourselves and record at my place. But yeah, I got my garland in the background and everything, and it was Christmas. So Jackson, how was your Christmas?
I'd say my Christmas was pretty good, dude. I had a lot of fun with it. At my apartment, we did a lot of decorating to kind of like theme it up. We didn't want to buy a Christmas tree, so my wife made like a 2D Christmas tree like on the wall using like garland and like hung it like in a zigzag.
I thought that was really cool, actually.
Yeah. That looks really cool. I'm not looking forward to taking everything down soon now. It just kind of sucks because I like the whole decorating aspect of Christmas, but we're kind of working out other decorations to do. Like, I got the disc plates that I sent in the Discord.
Those are cool.
Because her brother sent me Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Maul's sabers, but he sent her all the Harry Potter houses. So where the Christmas tree is, I'm going to organize it in such a way so that it's all the houses represented there.
That'll
be be like a nice replacement decoration for the tree going away.
Yeah, I had a good Christmas too. Lots of fun time with family on my mom's side, my dad's side. Hung out with Jen's parents for a little bit on Christmas Eve. Went to church with them. Like I said, you'd be very proud of me. I went to a not Catholic church and I enjoyed myself. So definitely that's a big deal for me. But
that's funny.
But yeah, it was a good time. Shout out to my family, my brother. Shout out to Logan getting me the box lunch Star Wars Rebel shirt or hat. Very, very cool. Keep in mind, I just woke up an hour ago, so I'm still kind of spawning in here. But
yeah.
And then one of the coolest gifts I got was my parents got me. My dad went out and he actually found it from an eBay auction in Canada. A General Grievous Bandai model kit for 6-inch scale.
Oh, wow.
So if you don't know, the Black Series General Grievous is technically a little bit underscaled. So he's a little bit smaller than he should be. But I guess the Bandai model kit is true 6-inch scale. So now that I have all my paints for, which you guys can't see, it's off camera, for my Star Wars Legion stuff, I'm going to hit him with like a black wash and like make him all dirtied up. And I'm very excited to
that'll be pretty sweet, man.
Put that together. I love my model kits. So, but yeah, it was a really good holiday, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I'd say, at least for kind of talking about. Actually, I know you had some articles to talk about before we go into the main topic of the video today.
Yeah, so I do have one article this week that I have here. Empire Magazine interviewed Dave Filoni talking about, again, kind of Star Wars year in review this year. Dave Filoni had his big kind of directing debut, really. As opposed to just doing one episode of a show, he was the head honcho for the entire Ahsoka series. So this was kind of his first, in my opinion, home run for the year. And I just realized I forgot to add Ahsoka to our year in review list. So.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I knew something was missing. I was like, oh.
I gotta add that now because I'm gonna forget about it. Okay, there we go.
Classic noob mistake.
Bruh.
Fake fan.
So, Empire Magazine interviewed Dave Filoni. It was a brief interview. There wasn't a whole lot that was, like, giving stuff away or anything like that. But there were cool things on there that I thought were worth mentioning. One of the two being that Filoni mentioned that he wanted to see Pelion and Thrawn together on screen going forward. Because if you don't know, in the Heir to the Empire books, Captain Pelion, who we saw in the Shadow Council in Mando Season 3, is Thrawn's like right-hand man in that show.
Yeah.
If you watched podcast last week, we did also talk about a little bit how maybe Captain Enoch would kind of get sidelined and be like a villain for Mando Season 4 so that Captain Pelion could kind of take his place. But yeah, he said he wants to see them on screen together because he thinks that they're two characters that are like a duo. They're kind of like a package deal. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And then the second thing that he said was he wants to see Thrawn and Hera together on screen in live action because he said that Hera is Thrawn's foil, in his words, which means like his antithesis or his arch nemesis. So, I mean, and as I'm rewatching Rebels and I'm watching it with Jen for the first time now, we're like midway through season 3. There are a lot of moments that I don't really think about between Hera and Thrawn, where they kind of stack them up as like strategists against each other. So yeah, what do you think of that comment there?
I mean, yeah, the more you think about it, I guess there's plenty of times in Rebels where specifically Thrawn and Hera kind of go at it. I guess a lot of people, including myself, kind of always imagined it was more of a Thrawn and Ezra dynamic, but especially with the end of Ahsoka, he doesn't really care too much that Ezra's gone, I guess. It was just more so, this guy's over here, maybe if he touches us, like, we'll fight him back or something like that. But I'm very much interested to see where they're going to go with season 2 of Ahsoka in terms of villains and heroes and who's really beefing against who in that sense. I hope we don't get like a total sideline of Enoch. And if they use him like what we talked about last week in some sort of other project as a side villain, I could very much seeing that being okay. Like, I'd be fine with that, but he's such a cool character. There's a lot of hype around him already on the internet. I hope they don't just, like, get rid of him.
Yeah. I think it's cool that Dave Filoni made comments about wanting to see characters on screen together, because if you don't know, Dave Filoni is very secretive when it comes to stuff that's coming for Star Wars. And you'll ask him a question, and he's very like, I don't know, I'll have to see. So kind of seeing him just outwardly say, yeah, I'd want to see these two characters together. Or I'd want, like, as if it's not his choice, you know? Like, he has total control. So I think, to me, it just kind of also shows his excitement for all the stuff they're doing. And to see the passion there is always appreciated. But yeah, so that's my quick little article for the week. Yeah, nice. Check out Empire Magazine if you want to go check out the full article. So let's talk about some Star Wars 2023 in review. Yeah,
I would say this year we had a really good slate of Star Wars material. So I guess to kind of brief overview of the list, in basically chronological order, we had the second season of Bad Batch came out at the very beginning of the year. Then we had Mando Season 3.
Kind of in tandem with it. They came out at the same time for a few weeks.
Yeah, which was a little bit weird, and I kind of wish now they didn't do that because we had all these long gaps between the shows.
Dude, and we were doing 2 podcasts a week.
That was bad, dude. That was bad.
That was like 5 weeks in a row of just... I mean, it was cool for you guys probably, but that was tough for us.
Yeah, so we had Mando Season 3 with that. We had Tales of the Jedi, which was a very, very pleasant surprise. We had Vision Season 2, we had Jedi Survivor come out, and then we had Ahsoka to finish off the year. And I would say all in all of them were pretty solid projects. I mean, what do you really think? Did you maybe not care for one as much as the other? Or?
I think that I agree with you. This year was a very consistently solid year. There wasn't anything that came out this year that we have on our list that I was like disappointed by or kind of like disillusioned by, other than Visions 2. Fun fact, I have not watched all of Visions 2.
This peon over here. I watched it all on release, bro.
Yeah, there was one day I tried to watch it, and I had just come home from work, and I was like watching it, and I started honk-shoeing like 20 minutes in, but I do need to sit down and watch all that. But all in all, I would say like my initial thoughts are, I didn't realize how much actually came out this year. I thought this year was a little bit slower for some reason, and then when I looked at how much stuff actually came out, I was surprised.
Yeah.
So
Oh, no, never mind. Andor was last year. That's what I was trying to figure out on the timeline, too, when I was going over stuff. But, yeah, I feel like maybe it just felt like we didn't get as much because there's just so many gaps in between. Like, we had a 3-month section between, I know it was Mando and Ahsoka. Tales of the Jedi and Visions were kind of just
Tales of the Jedi came out 2022, apparently.
Season 2, though.
No, there's only one season of Tales of the Jedi.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Wow.
Damn.
So that really made the list, so
that drops out. That drops out.
So that would explain why it feels more... Okay, so Visions 2 took the spot of Tales.
You know what I think it was?
What? Was
Visions 2, or Tales of the Jedi came out late last year in the middle of Andor. And then Andor, like, bled into... Like, because I remember we were, like, Andor, then Bad Batch, then Mando. So I think we were kind of lumping that all together.
That would make sense. Whoops, sorry.
Oops.
Everyone. Fake fans.
We were actually just checking to make sure that you guys were paying attention and that you knew Tales of the Jedi didn't come out in 2020.
But I feel like, I guess, maybe out of all the shows, if I had to maybe say, like, one wasn't received as well as the other, which I am a little bit disappointed about, I will say I feel like people really did not like the latest season of Bad Batch. Yeah. When I go to Disney Plus now, especially to rewatch the second season, you have to scroll pretty far just to find the Bad Batch in animated series. The Clone Wars and Rebels still come up, and all the newer series like Book of Boba and Mando are all like really before that still. Right. But it's kind of like buried in the back, so I almost feel like it's the result of it not performing maybe as well as they wanted to, which is a shame because it's in the Clone Wars art style. People have been begging for that forever, and it's one of the shows I'm most excited for going into next year.
Yeah.
We're finally going to get a conclusion to the entire thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember when we were doing our podcasts about Bad Batch, there would be like week after week, we would just be like begging and pleading people to like the show because we would be... I felt like we were just viciously defending the show every single week because there would just be so much discourse online. And I remember it was specifically about the people talking about the quote-unquote main story. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, I want to see the main story. And I remember having so many arguments with friends of ours, like, and just people online and being like, well, no, like, I think that sometimes as Star Wars fans, we get confused. We are so excited to see the underlying story, which in this show is the cloning and the phasing out of the clones. Like, yeah, that is a secondary plot to the main plot, which is about the Bad Batch, the characters. And if you, like, read any, like, fictional epic, or if you, like, watch any other series, there's cool events that happen. There's awesome battles. There's, awesome movies. There's awesome, like, CGI and puppeteering and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about the characters and how they develop and change. And so I think that was, like, the disconnect with a lot of Star Wars fans. Was people were misinterpreting what the story was about. It wasn't about the cloning and all that stuff, which that's just part of the show, Yeah,
I feel like especially for the Bad Batch, because it takes place during such a sensitive point in the timeline, people would rather have a historical documentary rather than a show. And I feel like that's what's reflected in the hatred. But yeah, we were on top of the hill every single week fighting for our life, defending the Bad Batch and saying how good of a show it was.
I haven't heard this term used since Bad Batch Season 2 in the Star Wars community, but the word filler would come out of people's mouths every single week. Like, we would be like, this episode was absolutely amazing. And people would be like, well, we didn't see
filler match.
No crosshair, so it was filler. And I'd be like, no.
Granted, both of Crosshair's episodes that they dedicated towards him were the best episodes that they showed to. I really think the one with Cody and then Mayday were like mind blow. They were awesome.
And the craziest part to me was you could argue that both of those episodes were filler episodes under like people's definition of filler for this show.
Because it didn't progress the main story.
It didn't progress the main story, and because the main story is the Mount Tantus, according to these people. But yeah, aside from that, I loved Bad Batch Season 2, and if Ahsoka hadn't come out this year, Bad Batch Season 2 would have been my number one for this year, like my favorite release.
That. Yeah.
I mean, I have my Bad Batch figures you can see them on camera, right? Yeah, I have my Bad Batch figures up here on the shelf, and there's a reason that like I keep them at like eye level because that show is so special to me. I loved season 1 and I loved season 2 even more. What would you say was your favorite moment from, or one of your favorite moments from Bad Batch season 2?
Gotta be the Mayday episode sticks out the most.
Yeah,
I
dude.
love that, like the radical shift in Crosshair's character. I really liked that, but then I also liked how tragic the ending was. I'm still slowly making my way through it again, and we did predict at the beginning that Tech was going to die. We always had thought it was going to be him or Crosshair. And I think maybe at one point we were theorizing Echo. I can't remember, to be honest.
We were theorizing Echo, but then Echo left. And we were like, that was a twist in and of itself, too. Echo leaving.
Yeah, the show had a lot of really good twists and just moments in general. So I feel like that's what made it so good to me. And it reads and it works exactly like the Clone Wars. So that's what I like about it, too. Where, again, as people wanted it to read maybe like a different kind of show to begin with. So...
yeah,
all in all, love the Bad Batch. It's a W show. Love Crosshair.
I will say the Bad Batch season 2 really, really hit me because I've rewatched that episode where Tech dies in the season 2 finale, and every time I watch it, like I still get this like really emotional reaction to it, and like it just hits you so, especially if you rewatch the whole season, you really get connected to Tech, and it just hits so much harder, and especially like. They did such a good job with Omega's reaction to Tech's death, like where she wakes up from her coma and she like realizes what happened. For me, that was just, and we got like the introduction of like, or again, there are a lot of good twists in that I wasn't expecting Vice Admiral Rampart to be removed from the show.
Yeah,
in the mid-season finale.
Emperor is insane, where it's like, this is how the Emperor completely downplays the clone rebellion and whatnot, and he's like, wow, like this is really messed up, and to think our officers would do that. This is why we need to usher in a new army to keep our empire secure. It's just so masterfully played out, and it's like, holy cow.
Yeah, that, and like we get Dr. Hemlock as a new villain, and I absolutely, I love him a lot. I liked Rampart, but I love Hemlock a lot more. He just... he's such a different villain. We don't really have like the crazy doctor villain in Star Wars other than Dr. Nuvo Vindi, and he was more comically a crazy doctor. This dude is a lot more menacing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but all in all, I'd say Bad Batch was my favorite up until we had Ahsoka, but we'll get to Ahsoka here. The next thing we have, obviously, is then about halfway through Bad Batch, we started getting Bad Batch episodes and Mando Season 3
at the same
episodes.
Time.
Well, I guess one more thing I will say about the Bad Batch real quick was as time has passed, even in just less than a year, I watched... I've mentioned them before on the show, the Chatooine podcast, with Star Wars Only and Palpa Memes and a couple other dudes we've had on the show. They did an episode on Bad Batch Season 2, and over time, their opinions have become more positive about the show, and I think that's also... shout out to our friend Hybrid Toy Reviews. He and I were talking a week ago, and Hybrid was saying... because he famously doesn't like Andor.
Yes.
But he said he rewatched it recently, and that his opinion has changed a little bit in a positive way, because he said that, and Star Wars Only said the same thing, I think we as Star Wars fans get caught up too much in the hype of one episode releasing a week, that we have such high expectations each week that we feel let down when a monumental thing doesn't happen every single week.
Exactly.
So like Hybrid was saying, when he watched Andor, not as a binge, but he was able to just watch multiple episodes in a row, he said he enjoyed it way more because he could just get the story, consume the story quicker, and to him, he felt that it was more gratifying as a viewer. Yeah. So the same thing was said on their podcast, and I've seen that by a lot of Star Wars fans, be like, that were critical of it when it came out, be like, oh, now my opinion has changed. I either am indifferent towards it or actually kind of like it now. So it's like we said, too. You just got to give it time. You know, people will simmer down because There's the initial outrage of the internet that people love to have, and
I'm still gonna fight for the week-to-week episode releases.
Me
I don't
too.
know. I'll just getting a little bit off track before we go on.
No, you're good.
Have you seen Marvel's announcement of the Echo show that they're gonna come out with?
I saw the announcement of it.
Did you see that all the episodes are releasing at once?
Ooh.
And it's only 5 episodes long though, too.
Ooh.
But I think this is in response because people are maybe fed up with not only just the algorithm itself of like 1 episode per week, but Marvel specifically is struggling to gain viewership back. That this is also supposed to be, it's a PG, from what I've seen, it's a PG-13 almost crossing the line to R almost kind of a show.
Oh.
Because it's meant to be more violent because it has Echo in it and Kingpin, and it's supposed to mock themes of the Punisher.
Interesting.
So that would be an interesting way now if maybe now Marvel's able to gain back the viewership. Maybe they'll go back to a week by week, but I hope that this doesn't affect the release of Star Wars now that Star Wars is then an all at once, because I wake up most days at 3 or 4 a.m. to watch these shows the morning of and then hopefully watch one more time before we shoot the show, and I could not handle if all of the episodes released at once with my schedule. We could not cover that because this is not our only thing that we do.
Yeah, I think what gets me too about like everything releasing at once is, especially if like you don't want spoilers, and like you said, we work, like you are finishing up school here, like we have a lot of extracurriculars going on, you know, like especially like when you, like in our situations, we have moved out of our parents' houses, so now you have all the responsibilities that come with maintaining a house and maintaining where you live and like your personal space. So for us, we don't have the luxury of watching 7 hours or 6 hours worth of content all in a row, sitting down, binging it, and then you get spoilers all over the internet. So I also am a fan of the weekly release in that way because it also gives me something to look forward to in my week.
Makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah, so and also keeps people talking about it more because you're excited for the next episode, you know, or maybe you didn't like this week's episode, so you're like interested to see what happens next, you know. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I like the week to week.
Yeah.
Speaking of, did you hear about James Gunn's Rebel Moon movie?
Yeah,
the Star Wars. It's like, so allegedly, well, not allegedly, he pitched this movie as a Star Wars movie to Lucasfilm and Disney, and they were like, nah, it's trash. So he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna make it on my own and just not make it in the Star Wars universe. And all the reviews have been like, it's trash. Well then, dude,
good to know.
Well then he came out and he was like, he said online, I think it was on X, he was like, well, there's going to be a longer director's cut of the movie that's better than this version.
The Snyder cut?
Or the Snyder, yeah.
Like the Snyder cut.
Was it James Gunn or was it Snyder?
Oh, no, I was just joking, because that's what they did for DC, was the Snyder cut.
I know what you mean.
It was James Gunn who did the movie. I'm looking at it right now. Okay. I saw that it's only on Netflix. Yeah. Because I saw the trailer for it on Netflix, and I was like, that shit looks like trash. I'm not going to watch it.
Because now
Zack Snyder did direct it.
It is Zack Snyder. Okay,
so that's why there would be a longer cut, because that's what he did before, was the Snyder cut of the...
So I saw a lot of people online being like... I saw a lot of comments online. There's a lot of discourse. People were saying, well, wait, you were the writer, director, and producer. Why are you releasing a longer cut? You could have just kept it all in the first cut.
Oh, exactly. So, especially if it's only on Netflix and it never hit theaters. You have the liberty of doing that. Where DC wanted something concise.
Yeah, and so I saw people were... Because his whole thing was like, guys...
That's funny.
It's basically Star Wars with hookers and blood. That's what it is. And I was like,
Andor has hookers.
Yeah.
They already did it. And there's already blood in Star Wars. Take the L, loser. That's why they didn't want your trash movie.
So, I think I might see them. I think I might watch the movie just because I'm interested to see, like, okay, this is this guy's vision for a Star Wars movie. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to try and, like, have that in my mind, you know, and when I'm watching it, and maybe give my honest opinion on it in the Discord. You should join the Discord.
Join the Discord.
But let's move on to Mando.
Back on track to Mando season 3.
Mando 3. So what are your initial thoughts Mando 3.
I think if they never made another season of The Mandalorian, I would be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
I feel like this was the perfect way to wrap up the story of Din Djarin and Grogu and the idea of found family that was always in The Mandalorian, that now Din Djarin has now adopted Grogu. The Mandalorians now have Mandalore again. I feel like, again, if they stopped it right there, that would be okay, because although there is unfinished business, like with the Mythosaur that we saw in the one episode, and there are still things happening in the galaxy, that could very well be picked up by a different show. The story of The Mandalorian was always about Din Djarin for me, and that relationship with Grogu. And so that's why I feel like if they need to continue in the universe, just pick another character and do this story there.
Right.
So that's why when people talk about Mando Season 4, I'm intrigued to see what they do, just because I would rather them maybe, what if we did a Bo-Katan show, or made The Mandalorians the show, and then touched on maybe Bo or Axe Woves or Koska Reeves or any of the other big game players that we see in the Mando timeline to begin with. But I almost feel like this it didn't as much as the Bad Batch Season 2 have the same treatment, but I feel like this also very much suffered a bit more from fighting for the fact that this was a good series.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that right now a lot of people are still polarized about, whereas Bad Batch kind of mellowed out and it's generally liked by most fans.
People don't like Mando.
There's a big camp, Yeah,
with the release of The Mandalorian being on physical media now, I've seen a lot of people being like, okay, I'll just buy these 2 seasons and that'll be it. Mandalorian should have ended at Season 3. I see that's kind of like the robotic response, the 1984 response. Mandalorian should have ended at Season 3. Mandalorian should have ended, so...
I mean Season 2? Or are you saying...
Oh, yeah, Season 2, my bad. Yeah, there should have been a Season 3 for it, but still.
I think my initial thoughts, I really liked Mando Season 3, but that's because I have seen Clone Wars and Rebels, and I've seen everything. Mm-hmm. So to me, a lot of the story beats in this show, like the importance of the Darksaber, Bo-Katan's story, the importance of Mandalore, that meant a lot more to me as a Star Wars fan, as opposed to people that are just coming in and watching The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of people that have only watched The Mandalorian are in that camp of feeling,
I would agree.
Now, also, though, watching the whole show through, I saw a lot of people be like, oh, well, the direction of the show completely changed. I'm like, did it, though? Because the story beats and the plot and the lore of Mandalore were always present in the show from day one. And it wasn't the prominent story was the relationship between Din and Grogu, and obviously that changed in Season 3, and that took a little bit of a back seat, aside from Grogu getting officially adopted.
Yeah.
But I felt like this show is still consistent, and I think it's consistently good. I also think people got really hyped up about the Luke Skywalker cameo in the Season 2 finale, and they were thinking, how is Season 3 gonna top that? Mm-hmm. And people see Luke Skywalker, and they got stuck on that Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
And they expected Luke to come back into the story again, whereas it was just a tool to separate Grogu and Mando, so that Grogu could learn how to harness his powers in the Force and be his own character for Season 3. Now, we've talked about a couple weeks ago maybe about the whole thing with the Book of Boba Fett. I was sharing my theory on the Book of Boba. I do think that a lot of fans also didn't watch Book of Boba Fett. Yes. And they only watched Mando, so when they came into Mando and saw that Grogu's back, they're like, whoa, what happened? Mm-hmm. And I think that also turned people off right from the get-go. But, I mean, all in all, again, I am the shill. On this podcast, I am the shill, and I like everything.
Because it was good. I mean, again, the Luke Skywalker effect really hurt Mando Season 3, because all these people were like, I want to see Luke. I need to see legacy characters, and I need another big reveal. And I feel like that was kind of a dyad criticism because people were saying that Star Wars and Marvel were very reliant on big name legacy characters from coming back to make the story relevant again. And so you have that in, if you want to argue that point, that's in Mando Season 2 where Luke shows up to get Grogu. And then it's like, holy cow, like Luke Skywalker never thought this was going to be in the thing again. And then in Season 3, we don't get that. You have no other big cameos of characters. It's returning characters, and that's really it. And I feel like that's what the story should really just focus on anyway. You don't need to be reliant on a Luke Skywalker to save the plot or do something like that too. I almost feel like it would have been better for The Mandalorian if Luke Skywalker wasn't even in it to begin with.
Yeah.
Just because then we wouldn't have this huge, overwhelming complaint of where is he in Season 3, why can't Grogu go back to him, yada yada stuff. Because the story succeeded in what it was trying to tell.
The other thing that I think is confusing to me is the whole cameo thing. Like, Bo-Katan, like, do we, in retrospect, do we really call Bo-Katan a cameo? Because she was a major player in Season 3. Like,
exactly.
Ahsoka actually had a role in the plot of Season 2. So it's like, and like to a degree, Luke had a role. So it's like, there's that criticism of like, oh, it's all cameos. And I'm like, is it? And then it's just, I think, yeah, the bottom line, people got really, really hooked on the whole Luke Skywalker thing from Season 2. They thought, how is Season 3 going to top this? Mm-hmm. And they were expecting, again, comes back to an expectation for what's going to happen next. And the show didn't go in the direction that people thought it was going to go. So they were like, oh, it's bad. Or, oh, Kathleen Kennedy changed the show. Or, So, all in all, I thought the Mandalorian live action was dope. Yeah. I thought the fight. I saw complaints about the Grogu fighting the Praetorian Guards. I mean, dude, like I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And like Moff Gideon in his Iron Man suit of
that was pretty
Dark
awesome.
Trooper armor. Like that was. There was so much to love in Season 3, and I, like you said, I'd be happy if really just Mando takes a back seat for the rest of this little era that we're in, and just kind of a supporting character because his story's complete.
Yeah, they did the blip at the end where it's the circle that goes whoop, which very much signifies that this story is over. So now it's going to be, they're picking back up The Mandalorian to tell a whole new story, which is going to have different themes, which I would be okay with because then the whole story isn't found family. It's something brand new that they've come up with.
Yeah, I mean, now you have Mando's story arc is completed. So, and same with Grogu's. They've come to a resolution. So, when they say in the last episode, when Mando meets up with Carson Teva and Zeb, and he's like, yeah, if you ever need me, just let me know, and I'll fight for you. Like, you've now set him up for now Thrawn's back. Okay, now we can have Mando help fight Thrawn.
Yeah, I agree.
There you go. That's really all there is. And I understand wanting to see more of Mando and Grogu. But I really don't think it's going to be them as main characters going forward.
Yeah.
Because there's not really, unless they come up with a clever story to tell.
And they probably will for marketing's sake.
Yeah.
But Lizzo episode was the best episode. If you disagree, you're a sincere Star Wars hater. Take another fat L. Lizzo and Blackjack in Star Wars is the biggest W of this year. We're moving on.
Next was Visions 2. I personally don't have much to say because, like I said, I didn't watch all of Visions 2. I only saw parts of it, and so I'm going to reserve my opinions for it.
Here, I was just trying to pull up the episode lists really quick. Okay, so in Visions 2, we had Sith, Screecher's Reach, In the Stars, I Am Your Mother, Journey to the Darkhead, The Spy Dancer, Bandits of Golak, The Pit, and Au's Song. Literally every single episode, in my opinion, was a banger. I wasn't personally a fan of The Pit. It had a lot of good classic Star Wars stories, so for other people, totally could have worked. That's A-okay. I mean, like, none of these stories are Star Wars canon anyway. It's all a culture's perspective on the Star Wars story. I know for me, Screecher's Reach was one of my absolute favorites. The Bandits of Golak was, like, amazing. I feel like what really did it for me this time too is that Visions took a separation from being a Japanese take on Star Wars to a world culture take on Star Wars. So we had the Japanese again, the French, Korean, Indian as well was another really, really unique perspective that I was never expecting for Star Wars. Like an Indian themed Inquisitor with a lot of themes based on their culture was like mind blowing for me. That was really, really dope. Again, no complaints about Visions Season 2. I really hope this project expands and we get more and more from it. I don't know how much more they can really do with this, because again, it's just a cultural thing. So what have we done? What can you really do once you've kind of covered all the cultures? And I know there was potential talks at Celebration to do this more because they had to have studios apply. So I could only imagine what the stories were for the studios who applied and didn't get in or weren't approved from that. Maybe just because they had too many people going at once. But yeah, I really hope we get another. Visions is a very, very underrated Star Wars banger, for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I loved Season 1, and so I will watch Season 2 at some point. It wasn't a dislike. It was just more of like I had so much going on this year, and it wasn't canon content, so I was like, you know what
I say about Legends, I don't pay attention to Legends because I don't care, but in this sense I care because it's a cultural perspective.
It's also an art form.
Yeah,
you know,
Thrawn says to understand your enemies you have to understand their art. I don't consider other cultures my enemies, let me just say that. But it's just cool to see different perspectives because Star Wars is very based in America and England, so then how do other countries see it then?
Yeah, do you have anything else to give on that one?
Not really.
Okay, so now we're going to go to...
Do you want to go to Survivor or Ahsoka? Because Survivor technically came out before Ahsoka.
Go for it, yeah. I mean, so this is a game I have not played, so I also don't have much opinion on this. Very excited to finally... very soon I'm going to be picking up the new Xbox.
You need it.
I'm going to get the new Xbox, and I'm going to get myself Jedi Survivor, play the shit out of that, and... enjoy it, because I heard great things about the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. So
yeah.
What's your take?
100%. I wouldn't put it in the top games of this year. I understand that Baldur's Gate was the game of the year for rated, but I feel like Jedi Survivor is definitely up there in top 5. They literally took everything that they could have improved in Jedi Fallen Order and just made it like 1,000 times better. The customization is better, the combat, the way that checkpoints and fast travels work at locations. There's a bunch of different side quest thingies. If you're really interested in that, you can do it. But if you're not, it isn't going to really affect the main storyline at all to begin with.
That's cool.
I just thought the experience of going through it was really, really fun. It wasn't so much focused on the plot of the first one where, we have to run and hide from the Empire. Cal Kestis kind of took on his own story, because that's a trope that we're seeing now for a lot of stuff, like in Rebels and Kenobi, is being hunted by the Inquisitors of the Empire and such, but where now Cal Kestis has to figure out his own destiny and his own purpose. And the themes and the stuff that they introduce are amazing. The planets are beautiful. The combat is a lot of fun. There's battle droids again, for crying out loud. So in a way, it almost feels like a prequel game, or you're in the Clone Wars again when you're fighting these reprogrammed battle droids. But I have nothing but good things to say about Jedi Survivor. I loved the game. I was upset when it finished. And it's very much set up for another expansion to the series. I'm blanking. Cameron Monaghan. There we go.
Monaghan.
Plays Cal Kestis, and he said that they were working on the next installment of it.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, at least I don't know what they would do with the story. So excited to see that. Yeah. It's a great game. Huge W. Play it if you have the consoles to play it. It plays like the new God of War game too, where you can choose if you want to just watch the story and do as little combat as possible, or if you want as most combat and as like the hardest difficulty possible.
That's cool.
Really.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good experience too for people who were maybe interested in Fallen Order catching up to this, because it, like, in 5 minutes, it gives you, like, a cinematic rundown of here's what happened in Fallen Order, here's what you need to know, who are the characters, where do they fit in a place, kind of thing. And so that works really, really well, and it's perfect for new fans and for old fans alike.
Cool. The one thing I did see, without, like, spoil. I mean, obviously
the game's been out for like 2 years. We can spoil it at this point.
I did see you fight Ogdo Bogdo's son.
Yeah, so it's the spawn of Ogdo Bogdo. I didn't find him. I didn't go to the location where he was, so I completely avoided that. It isn't unnecessary. That's what I mean. There's like a lot of like fun side quests, like
optional bosses.
I'm going to say it because EA posted him. So if you haven't played the game yet, it's already out there. Boba Fett is in the game.
Mm-hmm, I saw that cutscene.
The only way that you can see Boba Fett is if you do this side quest of bounty missions, then Boba Fett is like the final interaction. Or, again, they posted it, so I'm going to talk about it. Darth Vader's in the game, too.
Yeah.
And there's this really epic scene with Vader in it, and I never expected Vader to even touch this game because he was in the first one. But, again, the way that they put these characters in is very well done to the story. And there's a huge, huge twist, too, in characters in the story that I was talking to Jacob, and I was like, bro, what? But yeah, it's a ton of fun. I loved the game to death. I would play it again. If you play it, the lightsaber and blaster stance is the goated stance to do. There's nothing else acceptable. Do not be a peon like my brother and do the cross guard lightsaber. I get it's good for damage, but would you rather be 50 Cal Kestis or have a bigger sword?
Oh, that's funny, dude. Well, I can totally see why Jacob would pick that, though, because he likes Kylo Ren so much.
Oh, exactly.
So,
and,
yeah,
it's slow, and it's good for damage and for breaking people's guards and whatnot. But the blaster's just fun, because you can have, like, a horde of enemies running at you. And, you know, I mean, it's one thing to just kind of, like, slice and dice, but you could just be like, pew, 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 like, shoot a bunch while, like, you're slashing, like Kanan. It made me feel like him.
Yeah, that's
and you
cool.
can get Kanan's blaster and his armor, too.
Oh, really? What?
You can get his shoulder pad, so I was wearing his
shoulder. Does it have the slash in it from Darth Maul?
I don't think it has
Vader?
the slash in it. I think it's just the general, like,
that's
pad
cool,
in the design. And I had, like, Clone Trooper, like, leg armor, too. That's an early item that you can pick up.
That's cool.
All from, like, a cosmetic shop in the game, too. But still, you can make yourself look like Obi-Wan, Luke Skywalker. Like, there's so many different ways. Like, they have... Do you remember... it isn't Cordova. Who's the first Jedi that you fight in The Force Unleashed?
Is it Rom Koda?
You can get Rom Koda's armor in the game.
Sick, dude.
So, like, there are a lot of really, really deep-cut Star Wars references in the game. So it's like, the people making it knew who they were making the game for, and they did an outstanding job with it, too. Like, it's amazing. Yeah, so there's Rom Cordova outfits. You can mock Starkiller outfits from The Force Unleashed. There's Obi-Wan, there's Han, there's Luke, there's all of this, like, customizable possibility. Kanan, like I said, you can dress like a clone trooper. You can dress like Obi-Wan did in Tartakovsky.
Dope.
So, dope. It's dope. It's goated.
Yeah. So, I'm definitely going to have to play it. And I will, because I loved Jedi Fallen Order. That was, like, one of the things... I mean, just the trio of Mando Season 1, Jedi Fallen Order, and Rise of Skywalker was what, like, yanked me back into Star Wars. Like,
fiercely yanked and didn't let go.
I had a game, I had a show, I had a movie, and all three I was hyped for. So, but yeah, so now, let's talk about the last thing of 2023, the total, in my opinion, the total dark horse and undertaker of this whole year for Star Wars. Was, and very fitting that it was the last release for 2023, was the Ahsoka series. So, initial thoughts, what do we think of the Ahsoka series?
Yeah, I'm glad that Ahsoka absolutely rocked Star Wars and kind of put it back on this huge, like, map of shows. We talked about it before in a previous episode that IMDb rated Ahsoka as the number 2 show of this entire year. That's compared to, like, Generation V and all these other, like, huge Netflix and other shows that came out for other providers. Like, a Star Wars show was number 2. And we know that there was a lot of criticism from, again, a very vocal minority, because the vocal minority lost.
They can't be
showed
happy
that Star Wars is as big as we thought it had been before, and that it is performing well. The show as a whole rocked me. Episode 5 is one of our best
performing podcasts.
Best performing podcast episodes. It's my favorite episode too, just because it's that look back at the Clone Wars, and we get can't remember the young lady's name. She is the daughter to the mother in the Barbie movie, but then she plays Ahsoka.
Something Greenblatt was Alicia.
She said she would,
and something. I'll look it up.
She said she would come back to play Ahsoka if Disney asked. So now we have a young Ahsoka actor who can very much mature into a live-action Season 6 Ahsoka later, if they really wanted it to. Rosario Dawson killed it in the...
Ariana Greenblatt.
Okay, Ariana Greenblatt. It was awesome to see Hayden come back, again, not only as Anakin, but then also the dyad of Vader as well, to teach Ahsoka important lessons. There was just never an episode of Ahsoka that I hated.
Same.
Always, every single week... I know we talked about, you're expecting some big monumental thing to happen every single week. That's how I felt every single time an episode of Ahsoka released. Even though there wasn't, in the action of it, a huge monumental thing that happened, there were lore bits, there was info, there was things that I thought were really cool that blew me away every single week. And for me, it was this huge return to tradition of Star Wars, where we had your dad and your younger brother over to watch the first 2 episodes premiere at our house, and it was like waking up to watch The Mandalorian all over again. It was amazing. It was perfect in every way it could have been.
Yeah, I can't talk highly enough about the Ahsoka series. There are so many people that I know that didn't watch the Ahsoka series because they have been like... kind of getting that franchise fatigue we talked about last week with Star Wars, and I'll tell them, no, you have to watch Ahsoka.
Oh, exactly.
Like I'll be like, have you seen Clone Wars? And they'll be like, yeah, I've seen Clone Wars. I'll be like, then you have to watch. Like, have you seen Rebels? Yeah, I've seen Rebels. You have to watch this show. They have done such a good job with this show, and honestly, I think you really have to give props to Dave Filoni, obviously, because this was his passion project. And there's so much that's completely changing this whole era of Star Wars that we've been exploring with Mando, Book of Boba Fett, all this different stuff coming out. And you now have this has completely changed the direction and the what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like the stakes are so much higher. Like we've completely, we've widened the lens to a galaxy-wide conflict now. Now we are in a Star War now, we have ramped up a huge big bad that's gonna, take all these little bad guys and put them all together. And there are just so many things that this show did so well between Thrawn and the new stuff with Thrawn, and you have Ezra, but there's new stuff with Ezra. You're not just bringing back old characters in the show.
Balin and Shin as new villains that are really good, well-developed villains with their own agendas too.
I think one thing that I loved about this show was that every returning character had something completely new and different that made it so much more than like a member berry. It was so much more than a member berry, because the characters, Sabine learning to use the Force was her whole thing. Hera dealing with the bureaucracy of the New Republic. That is a good story beat for her as a side character. Ahsoka dealing with the trauma and the guilt of, realizing that Anakin was Darth Vader from the Rebels series. Even Anakin, I would argue, had some new story to him, with him being a master and teaching Ahsoka to let go of her guilt, and let go of her hate, and Ezra having the ability to use Force Kung Fu Chirrut Imwe, and Thrawn has his whole army of night troopers and this Night Sister magic. Yeah, this show took every little bit of Star Wars and just said. And here, if I were to bring someone into Star Wars and I could only show them one thing, I would show them the Ahsoka series, because I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is Star Wars in 2023. This is all the major things that come with Star Wars: light side, dark side, kind of morally gray aspects of Star Wars. You have bureaucracy, you have politics, you have the witches and magic, and it's amazing. It's It's what would you say was probably one of your favorite moments from the show?
It was when it transitioned to Clone Wars. I was watching it on the TV with my wife, and Ahsoka woke up, and it was the battle with Anakin. I was like, it's the Clone Wars! It's the Clone Wars! And then Rex was on the screen. I was like, it's Phase 1! And then Phase 2 Rex 2.
He has this little line.
Yeah. That was when that happened, I was mouth on the floor. I could not believe that even happened for a second. I was as soon as it finished, I was I need to rewatch it right now. If I had to rewatch an episode of Ahsoka, I would rewatch that. And I've already rewatched the finale, I think another time or two already too, because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Ahsoka absolutely changed the way that a lot of people look at Star Wars too, because I know that since Ahsoka has come out, obviously you have the clickbait YouTube channels being Star Wars is dead, blah blah blah. But that's all just people trying to get clicks and get views. There's no base to any of that argument. Ahsoka really brought a lot of people I would say the interest back for a lot of people, because there were so many things that a lot of people were like, yeah, that's really cool, but whatever. But Ahsoka really brought the hype back for your and brought a ton of new people in too, or people that have been sitting out for a while came back. So all in all, Ahsoka really for me was my favorite. Ahsoka had me on a roller coaster of emotions all throughout the show.
Yeah, I'm just excited for season 2. I know it won't happen in 24. That might be a 25 or a 26 slated show, and I get it. You need to make it, and there's a whole lot that goes into it. But now with the writer's strike over, we can maybe get back to making shows more frequently. I don't know.
Well, and Dave Filoni has already got it all mapped out. He already knows how this is going to end. It doesn't matter. Even with Siege of Mandalore. It doesn't matter if it's going to take him 10 years to get season 7 out. It's already written. It's coming at some point. Yeah. So, all in all, dude, I would say Ahsoka's probably my favorite from this year, and I really was impressed with 2023. Yeah. And I think 2024 will be interesting. We're getting a lot of new stuff we haven't touched, like Skeleton Crew and Acolyte.
Yeah.
Andor season 2 potentially. Potentially Bad Batch season 3.
Yeah, I still think it's a little bit upsetting. We're almost about to hit January, and there's no this show will release this date, because if the marketing were going to start, it always starts a month in advance, because that's the nice little sweet spot of time that you have to collect viewership and let people know it's coming. So if it was coming in January, it won't, because we haven't gotten anything about it. So
yeah, I'm trying to find a picture of we had our YouTube stats for the year came out. Okay. And so I was trying to find that real quick. But speaking of 2023 in review, real quick, if you want to touch on 1313 podcast for 2023, some of our highlights and big moments this year.
Hell yeah. So we grew a lot as a channel. We hit 1,000 subscribers, and now we're at 1,131 as of recording this now. I think, yeah. Which is crazy to think that we shot up 131 more past the Erie Comic-Con. That is what kind of put us at 1,000, so we were really excited about that. Yeah. I feel like this was a really, really good, productive year for the podcast, too. We had that really, really busy spurt in the beginning with Mando and Bad Batch.
We're doing 2 podcasts a week.
Yeah, we had ICC that we were able to go to.
3 vlogs.
Yeah.
Three
everyday vlogs. Jacob really cranked out staying up till 1 a.m. every night just to put out a vlog the next morning. So shout out to Jacob for sacrificing your time with that, because that was hard.
And I know I've said this before, but as I didn't get to go, that was so awesome. As I felt like I was there with all of you guys. And that's I know people say that a lot about our content, is that they feel like they're just in the room talking with friends, and that's what we try to be genuine like that. But the vlogs really, really showed the camaraderie within our circle of friends, and showed just how awesome the con was. I felt like I was there, so I really appreciated that those came out daily.
Yeah, especially in terms of growth too. I feel like our biggest goal for the podcast was to never make us independent standing figures of each other that do YouTube, and that's it. We turn off the camera. If you meet us in person, we're going to flip you off and say, go screw yourself. I feel like, at least from my perspective, we've still been able to maintain that if you watch our show, talk to us on Discord. We'll talk to you every single day if we can. We'll play Xbox with you if we can. So I'm hoping that really continues as well in 24. I mean, I don't really see why it wouldn't too. If you want to hang out with us, just join the Discord. I feel like that's what's made our community the strongest too, is that the people that we went to ICC with, so we went with Hybrid and Hunter, were the two people that we went down and stayed with the same room. I met Hybrid a couple years ago back in COVID because he was a collector who hit us up, who saw our podcast.
Because he posted on Yakface. Yakface posted his thing, right?
Yeah, Yakface posted it. He found the 501st it was the Archive 501st figure, forgot the name of the packaging. And he picked one up for my dad, and we met in my driveway for a few minutes and talked, although it was brief and awkward. But we started talking a bit more from there. And then Hunter from Wisconsin, we never thought in a million years that we would meet somebody online and then meet them again in real person who lives across the states. That was super cool. We shared the same room and bed at ICC. But I feel like we've created a really strong friendship with him. And there's so many other people in our Discord too. I know when I was getting my tattoo touched up, one of the people who's been in the tattoo shop in and out for a little bit of time because he knows some of the people, he's been following us since you guys first went to ErieCon.
That's crazy.
And he's just kind of like back there in the Discord. Shout out to Spartan King on the Discord. But he hangs out and he responds occasionally and whatnot too. But it's good to see that we have a lot of people just in our community that'll like come out and hang out whenever they can. We even just did a Battlefront game a week ago maybe where we had like two random people from our community
that just never talked.
Talked, just hop on with us, and we just ran up Supremacy.
I think we had 8 people.
8 people in the lobby.
That was crazy.
It was so much fun to do. So yeah, I love our community. It's the best part of doing this podcast. So I feel like that was the greatest part of it too. Do you have anything, I guess, maybe with that, or maybe things that we want to see in 24? I know you joked about New Year's resolutions being stupid, but maybe do you have stuff that you want to try in 24 for the show?
I think we had like some really successful, like in the past 2 months, there have been so many action figures that have been coming out, and we've been doing so many action figure reviews, and they've been doing really well on the channel. And I just showed Jackson off camera, I have probably 12 more that I need to do for Micro Galaxy Squadron and Black Series and everything else. But I really want to do more reviews next year. I know that both of us are getting more Hot Toys next year.
Yes.
So I really want to review more Hot Toys and do things like that. And also this year, I did a couple HasLab pitches for Black Series scale. Those received a lot of good feedback. So I really need to sit down and like brainstorm. I mean, I wanted to do an ATST, and I have a model kit and a Micro Galaxy Squadron of that. It's just sitting down and recording stuff and editing it. So I want to try and be more proactive this year and like recording stuff that way. Like even if I don't edit it for 2 weeks, at least I have it recorded. You know. But yeah, we had some really cool like different ideas that we did this year, like our baking video for Halloween and stuff. Just
those are fun.
Little fun stuff that is different. We did our 13 Days of Christmas giveaway. We had our huge May the 4th giveaway earlier this year. So shout out Hunter for helping us out with that giveaway. I think that our community has been amazing, and kind of just, I would be repeating most of the stuff you said. Our stats for the year. 1313 podcast on YouTube specific gained 440 new subscribers this year. Nice. Our channel had 55.7 thousand views across all our videos.
That's insane.
We uploaded 151 videos this year.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is.
We gathered 3,681 likes across all our videos, 1,046 comments, and 296 shares.
Sweet.
Across all our videos. So I thought that was some pretty awesome, especially the subscriber number. To gain that many subscribers in a year is pretty crazy, considering we've only been around for 2.5 years as of Christmas Day.
Yeah, that is true. I always miss the podcast's anniversary in July, so I probably still won't make it either for that, which is unfortunate.
For 2024, I think my biggest things are going to be ICCC in October. That's going to be huge. Especially, like, I'm really excited. I'll actually be able to go this year. I got my vacation days locked in for that whole week. I kind of want to do more vlogs because whenever we do vlogs, they do really well and people really like them. We did a lot of more vlogs this year.
I have a good idea for a vlog that I'll share after this. Is something that we could all do together later. But yeah, it's hard sometimes too because our area doesn't get that much stuff. I mean, we have 3 Walmarts, a Target, 2 GameStops, which is more in comparison to some people who live in the middle of nowhere. Sorry, Fig. But yeah, sometimes we just don't get more stock on stuff, and stuff will just sit in the same area. So then what are we hunting for is kind of the problem, and we don't want to show the same stuff again and again.
Yeah, and that's excuse me, that's been nice because there's been so much new stuff coming out lately that whenever you go, there's something different. Like, I was just at Walmart, and the new Black Series R2 was at Walmart, and I was like, "Whoa, that's cool!" Like, I've never seen that in store before.
Yeah, me neither.
So it is fun. Like, the stock is getting better at physical locations, because especially when we were doing vlogs during COVID.
Yeah,
we did like a Lando count, and we had like 32 Landos among like all the stores.
Funny.
You know, so it's not like that anymore, and I appreciate that. Yeah, all in all, I'd say I want to see us grow more next year, and obviously we're gonna have next fall is gonna be busy because we're gonna have ErieCon.
Yes,
and then like 2 weeks later is gonna be ICCC.
Yeah,
and so
that'll be crazy.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a lot of traveling, and we're gonna do probably a lot more collabs next year too. Because we're just gonna be seeing so many people all the time. I know also. Hybrid and I, and potentially you as well, are going to go to see Hunter for,
I'm gonna do that
for his
100%.
birthday in Wisconsin in March. And we're
that's
gonna
100%. I will make it for that.
We're gonna go visit Skywalker Hendrix while we're out there for the weekend, and we're gonna go to the Mall of America to go see the Toys R Us.
That'll be
so.
Sweet.
It's Mall of America is the biggest mall in the United States, the continental United States. And they opened the first full Toys R Us in that mall.
That's
so it's
awesome.
a full store. And it's like, I've heard people say it's like jumping into a time capsule to 10 years ago when Toys R Us.
That's great.
So we'll get a vlog in for that, and it'll be a lot of fun. But,
Sweet.
But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to do some more of the shorts and the short form content. Sometimes it makes sense for episodes, sometimes it doesn't. So I feel like you don't want to like stage bits too, because I feel like that's cringe. It's just more funny when something natural happens and then we post it and get a reaction, because then it's like, haha, that's funny. But yeah, I feel like my biggest challenge with next year, for those of you who might know me more personally or might not, so by the end of May is when I'm looking at moving to Hawaii. So we are in Pennsylvania right now. So I'm going to probably move there because my wife is going to be looking to do medical school in that area. And then I'm also doing a seminary to get my master's as well. So we could be in Hawaii for 2 years. We could be there for 6 years. We don't really know what it's going to look like right now. We just know that we're going to go. So we have to make the arrangements for that. So then the issue is, how do I do the podcast with Jacob and Tommy consistently with a 5 to 6 hour time gap in it, and what that would look like too, so that we're still providing professional looking content. So that's something I want to talk to Jacob and Tommy about too as the months goes on, how we can maybe incorporate that, what it can look like. But that'll be a challenge. I guess my biggest challenge for next year will be being present for most stuff.
Well, we could do like, because I mean, the easiest one would probably be, we record in the evening for us, and it's like morning for you on like a weekend or something, you know? And we twist our upload schedule up a little bit, you know, switch things around. But also we could just do like on weeks that you can't make it, we'll come up with some little quippy like Jackson's Take or something like that. If there's a new show or something, like,
I can always record stuff too and put on the drive. Yeah,
we'll be like, Jackson, here's the topics for this week's show, and then we'll just show like you on the screen talking about stuff. But yeah, we'll figure it out. We always do.
because that'll make it difficult for ErieCon and ICC just because a flight to any of those from Hawaii is like easily 1,200-1,300 depending. So then I really have to pick and choose my battles, see where my financial status is at the time. I'm trying to get a higher paying job in Hawaii and I'm hoping I can secure it, but it's really just, it's all going to come down to chance. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see when we move.
And then the big thing for me, this is 2025, but my dad and I know we've talked about it with Hunter, Skywalker Hendricks, and Fig Fury, shout out to you guys, about going to Star Wars Celebration in Japan.
Yeah.
In
I would love to go to that.
I feel like because you'll be living in Hawaii, that
it's
would
cheaper
probably
to
be
fly to Japan.
Yeah,
I looked at it yesterday.
flight. Yeah, so
it's only like 500-600, which from where comparatively from where we live right here is not a lot at all. And all you really need to do is just learn the basics. I mean, like that's what I did when I was in Taiwan. Is you just need to learn how to say a couple phrases and you can get around to anything. I mean, the area in which celebration is happening is going to be very English centered too, because they're expecting a lot of people to internationally travel. But I would love to go to Celebration now.
We can. My dad knows a good bit of Japanese because he lived there when he was in the service. He lived there for a year, so he knows some Japanese. That would be helpful for us because I mean, just reading signs and stuff. Just like. We would be there for like a week, going to like the Pokemon Center and like doing things.
That would be awesome. I would love to go to the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, like doing things that aren't just the Star Wars Celebration and making like a whole trip out of it. So
exactly,
it's going to be a lot of saving, and obviously like this coming year, I'm going to be working a ton of overtime to like save up and have money for these kinds of trips.
Yeah.
But yeah, just we've got a lot going on, and you know, there's a lot that we're excited about. So. Stay tuned for that. But real quick,
with another year.
If you don't have anything else, like we do have the collector mention. There was 3 new Hot Toys revealed last week, and that was the Hot Toys Night Trooper, Captain Enoch, and the Zombie Death Trooper from the Ahsoka series.
The Death Trooper wasn't officially released. Yeah. It's officially announced, I should say. It's in the background of the photos, so you know it's coming. Yeah. They're gonna make it, but all of them are bangers. It's just crazy how quick they've started to produce all this stuff. I mean, I'm 100% getting the Thrawn. I'm definitely going to get that Rex when it comes out too.
Yeah.
That's also just a matter of saving up. Thank God that Sideshow understands the struggle and puts payment plans in place. But I'll just wait till they release rather than pre-order, because when these things kind of release, they're out for a couple years.
Yeah.
And even with the Captain Rex, they really, really overproduced it to the point where it went on a really nice price for clearance. So... I mean, just wait for it to release is all I can really say. You get your law enforcement discount. I get my military discount on Sideshow. Shout out to that. Thank you, ID me for partnering with Sideshow so I can get that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so I was also already going to get the Thrawn, and now with these, I'm like, well, now I'm absolutely going to get the Thrawn and have these dudes all behind him, flanking him. It's going to be sick, so... Definitely going to be...
That'll be a cool display.
Clearing some more space for some Hot Toys, might I say. Because I also have that ATRT is going to be showing up by March.
Sheesh, I forgot that was coming. Dude, that'll be an explosive review.
Oh, dude, I'm going to have to review... I'm going to have to, like, go wide angle for the review.
Dude,
but
that's going to be crazy.
But, yeah, this was definitely a longer podcast because we had quite a bit to talk about, but...
Yeah, I feel like it's a good wrap-up for the year.
Yeah.
The next time you see us, we'll be podcasting in 2024. Woo! And you won't see us till another year. And hopefully we'll have some more Star Wars news to talk about. If not, we always create fun topics.
We do, yeah. So, guys, if you are a Patreon member in our Gungan Boss tier, this podcast will be out early as... the last probably 8 or 9 podcasts have been.
So thank God we've got back on that.
Yeah, except for the Thanksgiving one, we have done the last several podcasts. So if you want to check these out early, join the Gungan Boss tier of our Patreon, linked in the description below. You guys also get like 20% off on merch on our spring, which we may be updating soon.
Well, I'm going to look at it as of recording today when I'm at work. I'll look at fixing the merch so that we can provide you with better quality. Obviously, if you made it this far on the podcast, you're probably a patron member or a diehard fan, so we bless you, thank you.
Yep.
We know that there's been issues with the merch. We want to fix it.
Quality control on Spring's part.
Yes, on springs.
But yeah, so we will be keeping on that. But thank you guys for watching another episode of the 1313 podcast. If you are not already, subscribe to the 1313 podcast. Check out all of our links in the description below. We love you guys. We hope you had a great 2023. Let us know what you thought of 2023 for Star Wars in review and what you're excited for come 2024.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching, and we will check you guys in the next episode.
The next year.
Goodbye.
See y'all.
Hey, this is Vanessa Marshall. I play Hera Syndulla on Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to the 1313 podcast.
Dun 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 hum da da hum da da hum dum dum da hum da da hum da da dum dum da dum da ba dum 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 dum hum da dum hum da da hum dum 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 da dum hum da da hum dum da da I'm da-da-dum da-da-dum da hum da-dum da-da-dum da-da-dum da da-da-da-ba-da-dum dum da-ba-da-ba-da